I mean, there were lots of interesting things, yeah.
We never listened to the radio, I don't know.
What is even more interesting is those scripts that they use in those programs are out there on the internet. You can pull up the whole script of the whole program, of almost every
Listen up.
program.
Really?
We're on video. Camera's on. I know it's early. Just wanted to check. I'm trying to do two things at once and chew gum and all. Yeah.
Okay, read it. Barb, are you coming to the volunteer luncheon? Well,
Ken,
if you are,
I don't know.
if you are, return it.
Don't let down the buffalo.
Folks, pick up can't tell the players without a program. Wow, so this is a true multimedia event.
Well, you know my email, just send it to Zoe.
Hiya. How's everyone today? Hey Marcelo, how are you?
I need you to get bids on that invention.
Already have two elements.
Okay.
Joanne, did you fill out one of these things?
Yes.
You did, okay.
Have you got a few minutes after the meeting to? Yes, yeah. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
The fellow that's sitting right over there, he is interested, yeah,
Just an interested group thing.
he's at different meetings, he does a lot of running
Which is what is correct.
and he rides his bicycle around. Good morning.
Ken, what's the deal for the computer club? Are they $20?
It's 15 for an individual, 20 for a family.
Right, well, I'm gonna have to change the organization you was listing because it's not correct, so I'll get together with you.
Okay.
Take that seat.
If I remember.
Good luck.
And I'll be glad to move.
I'll turn that over to Charlie. No, that's fine. I can support him from back
Yeah,
here.
exactly.
No, they said they put the bad boys in the corner.
You notice I got up.
Thank you. Are you for Georgia or
Oh,
Mr. Alabama.
Good morning. See you. How are you?
Charlie, how
I
are
was
you?
so lucky with that pass.
Good morning to you.
I thought Ginger was gonna win, but that
Regan,
pass.
I didn't get any slides.
They came close.
I thought they had it.
How are you, John?
And then I said.
You sent them, but there was nothing attached.
All of a sudden, I see that piece and I said, oh
And he was.
If you don't want to flash
no.
back, put it into my
My
laptop.
grandson was from Alabama, I was for sure.
Congratulations. Hi. Oh, thank you.
Well, he's a plumber.
Don't forget Pomona,
He's hoping to go to college.
Phoenix, Arizona,
Joanne,
Bristol, Barstow.
you know how
What
bad
brought on this
If I send
invention,
you an
this need to?
that has a graph.
Actually, that invention goes back to
It all depends on how the graphic is embedded in the article.
at the expense.
Did you, is it formatted, is it a Word document, a Word document? That's fine.
So it's not making
It's a
money.
little more challenging sometimes with
Commonly,
PDF format.
Well, I'm gonna try and I'll see you tomorrow.
Yes, 85 nanoseconds. Hose off and
I assume you're
get
gonna
on
be up
with your
there.
day.
Pick up the lawnmower, get to work.
Exactly.
Okay, alright, it's no big deal.
No, I'll let you know right now. I'm gonna actually, I plan on, my nephew's gonna be with me tonight, tomorrow night, so I'll probably be on the computer. No, I'll be on the computer, 'cause he's busy, you know what I mean?
The show last night was really nice.
So,
I'm gonna
I think you can certainly see the value, especially endorsement. And actually, it can be
You're
reversed,
I had people
Because there might
calling me.
in case you have to put the turkey back in the oven.
The owner of the bank building, Wells Fargo Bank Building,
Yeah.
is the only obstetrician in Belleville. Been there for 40
He
years.
might be interested.
But if you sit next to the executive.
It's okay.
Imagine what people put this one for.
See, we would have had.
Operating out of a storefront.
I took a look at my inbox this morning and I'm
Every bit of it paid to the federal government.
I was putting it
Only
on
drive one car
intentionally
at a time.
because when he
We
comes,
put on one
I
pair
let
of
him
pants
watch
at a
TV.
time.
Yeah.
Let him
Where's
do
he coming
his
from?
He, actually, he's in transition
Sent
from
kids to
Tampa.
law school, sent
Oh,
kids to.
He just got a job.
Good.
In December, he started, but his wife and son are
Nobody's
in
privately
Tampa, where he used to work. So they just started, I mean, they've
You're
been
gonna get a
looking for
bid,
houses,
get
so,
3
you know,
bids.
I'll get
You
the
have
whole
to
load
assemble
down.
And I will,
And,
get on to Cardinal Guido Sarducci.
you know, it's gonna be a process. And
Yeah.
of course, his they cover his moving.
I see no bad.
Oh, okay,
Why
that's
spend
been,
because.
yeah,
they're not
right.
buying
Are they
it.
sponsors?
Right.
He works at
Okay.
To me, it just makes so much sense.
And it's not your company. Yeah.
There.
Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you. The hint.
But I really didn't realize that I wasn't sleeping so well until he gave me a text. And I went, oh my God, this is weird.
Put wheels on that.
So subconsciously, I guess,
Yeah, you were very.
Our trucks do look nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been looking for.
I should have taken a picture of one of them.
We could have made a billboard out of it.
Good morning, Reagan.
Morning.
You're on video.
Morning, how are you?
Yes.
I think. Totally independent. Everybody sign in? Oh, good morning, Leo. Another reminder, we're on video. Later to be published through the World Wide Web. Under the auspices of the Queen of all media.
Here I am, sitting in the back of the room, trying to take it all in.
Everybody signed in? We're going to, there are a few changes recommended by the lawyer. Not the least of which is a venue in Massachusetts. We find that unacceptable. We don't wanna go up to Massachusetts if necessary to defend our rights.
Especially in the winter time,
Huh?
especially in the winter.
Yes, especially in the winter. And we'll get started here in a few minutes, just in case there are some last minute entries.
Does anyone else need to sign in?
Yeah, everybody sign the,
Pass that to the people behind.
I knew I should.
you too.
Amanda just came in.
I gotta sign in.
Marcel.
Barbara's getting
I received your email.
it. You did? Alright, good. That box is monitored. If you have any questions, you can reverse to me. Oh, yes, it works.
Got a crowd today.
So we have the right people. We have the right people in the room. That's good. Yeah, we can get, yeah, we can get started.
I know my wife's son. We'll send it down to you.
Just 2 minutes.
Yes,
Alright. Broadband Committee, please come to order. Everybody has signed in, please. Did everyone get a little package with the agenda and the minutes? Okay. Yeah, give one to you.
Young fellow there, okay.
And I think we'll, have a look at the minutes. Only protocol, make sure there are any comments on the minutes, please. Thanks again to John.
Welcome.
Oh, yes, we have. Great, romantic French.
Oui, oui.
You have a problem with the minutes?
Not a problem, no, I'm just, in my ignorance, is a Gantt chart like a flow chart?
Yeah, maybe you're familiar with the old PERT charts. It's in essence a chart, it shows critical path analysis and goals, in major projects and timelines, supposedly in a concise format. The Gantt chart is not really new. It's been around a long time. Okay, any other comments on the minutes?
Marvelous.
Alright, minutes will be accepted as presented. And now we're gonna turn this over to Marcel.
Turn off cell phones, please.
Oh yes, turn off your cell phones, put them on vibrate. And David, turn off those two switches, we'll get to better visibility on this, yeah, is that good?
Yeah.
Everybody can see that? Alright, as long as the print doesn't get too small.
No, we don't need all of that.
No. Too much.
Better?
Good, good. Alright, go ahead, Marcel.
Good morning. I have not received significant amount of data since our last meeting, except that we're planning an event. I don't have all the details, having to do with Super Bowl at WPRF.
Reagan may have some input on that, because he's been working with Eva.
Right, and I was supposed to receive some slides from Regan this morning for our presentation. However, Charlie has brought some with him and they're up on the screen right now.
Yeah, I emailed them this morning, I thought, but I had no attachment. So I resent them this morning right before the meeting, but Marcel would have just gotten them. But Charlie does have them to show everybody here.
Oh, excellent.
Alright.
So without further ado, let me pass it on to Charlie.
Well, thank you.
Totally.
The first thing I'd like to do is introduce my team again. You guys met Johnny Marchand last time that I was here. Johnny's a project manager that's gonna be an integral part of this project. And then Edwin Zambrana is a construction manager that will be up here more than anybody probably. So you get used to seeing these two guys a whole lot, you know, once we get started. We have spent a lot of time since our last meeting on this project, both coming onto the property, working on the design, working on the complete layout for all the fiber and the coax, making changes, taking different routes, trying to optimize this project. So what I'm gonna show you on the slides here is a lot of the stuff that we went over last week, but I want to give you a visual of what some of the construction is gonna look like once we get started up here. I'll tell you right now that materials have been ordered. There's a delay in receiving fiber right now because everybody and their brother is trying to get their networks upgraded. So we got our orders in early, like, you know, Comcast did and a lot of other cable companies did, as well as AT&T. But there's a delay for everybody's fiber right now. There's also a delay in a lot of the SDR pipe that we've ordered. So just to give you an idea, and I'll show you how much mileage is gonna be built here. This project has grown since the early part of it here. We're estimating mileage, and even what I told you last month when I was here. So I'll show you that here in just a few minutes. Will you take me to the next slide, please? Okay, this is a real small picture, but what Marcel has in his hands right there in the roll is a larger picture of the project with all the fiber laid out and all the node locations, okay?
I have that in PDF.
Yeah, we've sent that to you too, so if anybody would like to take a look at it, Marcel has it in a roll right there. This project is so large that it's kind of hard to, we have this broken down, as you see, in the grids. So any of my contractors working here have a smaller copy of this. If anybody wants to see it, I'll be glad to share that
Can you
with you.
give us a blow up of this?
He has it, yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, he has a copy of it in paper right here, a blow up of it, as well as have it in
I have
PDF.
it, I have it on paper, but if you like, I
Like,
can.
like that size?
Yeah, I have one bigger than that for you.
Alright.
He's got it right there in front of him.
Yeah, they gave it to me this morning, I put it in the office.
Okay, thanks.
I can, is there any particular part of this you wanna see? Cause I can zoom in on it
The
right
whole
now.
thing.
Okay.
Okay, next slide, please. Okay, I wanna start out by explaining what our design is here, so everybody understands it, okay? It's called Node Plus Zero. This is a fiber-rich design. It takes fiber as close to your unit as we can get it, okay, without bringing fiber into your unit. So we'll place a node that's gonna feed no more than 150 homes, units, whatever you wanna call where y'all live here, okay? And then from that node, we feed coax out to behind the buildings, okay? With these single nodes right here, this really improves our system reliability and the performance of the signal that's coming into your unit. Your internet speeds are gonna be greater than anything you can get anywhere else. Your video is gonna be so clear because the node is sitting right there by your house. If you have telephone in your unit, you get it from us, you're gonna have crystal clear calls that are reliable, that when you pick up the phone, you're gonna have a dial tone and you're gonna be able to make that call. That's because the nodes, the main piece of fiber optic equipment is right there behind your unit, or very close to it.
As you said last week, there's 69 of them in the village.
Yeah. Next slide, please. There's 69 fiber optic nodes in this property. Each one of the nodes are shown on that map that he's got, that you can take a look at. There's 12 power supplies that we're gonna place on the property. I try my best to keep the number of power supplies that we use to a minimum, because that's a failure point. Your power goes off, you're gonna lose equipment, okay? So the less of these we've got out here, the less apt that we're gonna have failures. And failures could be caused by other people digging in the property, shorts out near transformers where, the power could go out, those type of failures, okay? Today, with all the layout we've got 27 miles of underground construction that's gonna happen on this property. Out of that 27 miles, 17 of it is gonna have fiber in the ground, and then 10 is gonna be pure coax. That's some pretty big network on one property. Next slide, please. Okay, the first thing we do every day when the crews come out here is we have a safety meeting. And all the crews meet up, we start talking about all their personal protective equipment that they've got. Make sure they're all wearing their uniform shirts for the day, they've got their hard hats if needed, safety glasses, gloves, boots, the whole safety issue that I preach every day so that no one gets hurt. We finished the whole project in Sunrise without a single cut finger or injury on the project. And I'm adamant about this. If I come out on the project and I say, did you have your safety meeting this morning? If one employee tells me they didn't have a safety meeting, I shut the project down and we all get together and we talk about safety for the day. We don't want to have any problems out there and anybody getting hurt. We talk about the equipment checks on the drills, on the trenchers. Okay, we go through it. We make sure if they're drilling out here, they've got their grounds in place. They've got their dielectric boots on that's required. And if you don't know what that is, it's just, when these guys are drilling, they can create when they're anywhere near the drill. If they're on the drill or anywhere near it. Plus, if they hit an electrical line accidentally, that drill's gonna get charged. And we don't want them to get charged in the same process. They end up with curly hair like me when
It's a shocking experience.
it's a shocking experience. Okay, if they're working out near any of the roadways, we got barriers and traffic cones out. Flags if needed, or flag men if needed. Sometimes when we're gonna be boring across your roads, we're gonna have flagmen out there. Now, we're gonna be under the road, but there's a guy in front of the drill that has a locator, cause he needs to know where that drill head is all the time. So he may have to get in the road. If that's the case, and we have to stop traffic for him, we'll have flagmen out there, stopping traffic coming from both directions. And then, of course, my main concern is the pedestrian traffic on the property. People out walking their dogs, out exercising, just walking through the neighborhood, whatever they wanna do. I wanna make sure that if we're working, that we've got somebody out keeping our areas safe so that the people here don't wander off into our work area and get hurt either, okay? Yes, sir.
I wanna think about coordinating with our property manager and chief of security. And if you need, auxiliary help from, Platinum, we can make that happen. The earlier in advance we know, we can redirect traffic, we can do anything we need to do. It might be helpful.
In most cases, you know, we don't cut roads, so there's never gonna be a redirect of traffic
Okay.
on your property. We're gonna go under the roads. Let me back up. If there's an accident because a utility wasn't located, that could happen, but if that does happen, then Donald, you and I will be talking, or whoever it is that you designate for me to get in touch with so that your security's aware of it. I'm usually pretty close with the security guys because I have so many people that's gonna be on your property doing so much work, and I don't like surprises, okay?
Alright.
Next slide, please, Marcel. All right, the first thing we do before we start a project, and I explained this to you guys last time we met, was we call in locates. And we call in locates, they come out and they're gonna paint the ground orange and yellow and red and blue and green. All those colors references a different utility, okay? Orange is communication, which is cable TV and telephone. Yellow is gas, that's the one we really stay away from. Red is power, we stay away from that as much as we can. Blue is water and green is sewer. If you see white paint on the ground, that's me. That's my guys. They're trying to tell those locators what our route is. So when the locators see that white paint, they know this is the route we're gonna take and they need to locate their facilities in that area. And we'll know where to go. Then we pothole. If there's any place that we're gonna be crossing a utility, our crews will actually dig a hole, put a hole in the ground, usually with post hole diggers or a shovel. And we'll physically look at that utility, whether it's power or gas or water or telephone. We're gonna look at it so we know where it is. So when we come through there, we don't hit it. Cause those locators will not tell us how deep anything is. It's a liability for them. They make a mistake and tell my guys, it's 24 inches deep, and we dig it 24 inches and cut them. They're responsible, so they won't tell us. So we wanna know how deep they are. Now, on your property, our pipe that all the fiber and the coax goes in will be a minimum of 24 inches deep. Okay, usually on the right of ways, on the main roads, we try and go 30. But outside of that, behind the units and on the back roads, 24 to 30 is a norm for us. But it'll be a minimum of 24 inches. So we're deep. Somebody wants to come in and put some shrubs in, they're not gonna get us when we're 24 inches deep. And then the part that's the most difficult are the property-owned pipes, cables, irrigation lines, okay? I promise you that these crews will do everything they can to avoid cutting any of the utilities here. They will do their best to find them and see them and not cut them. But we need your maintenance guys' help too. They have to give us some kind of idea where they are. We can't just start working blind. If they can tell us, give us some kind of idea that stuff's in the ground, we can take a look for it and try our best to avoid it. And you guys, I hope you got a good sense of my honesty the last time I was here. We're gonna hit some of it. And we don't mean to, and we're gonna do everything we can to fix it as fast as we can. But we need the maintenance people's help to know where they are, okay? That's usually our biggest problem. Because we don't know where it is. A lot of times the maintenance guys don't know where it is because it's been in the ground 10 years or 15 years or 20 years.
Or 50.
Or 50 years. So they don't even know where it is. But we're gonna hit them and we're gonna repair them as we go. Next slide, please. So here's just a couple of pictures, directional drilling. I don't know if you guys have ever seen a directional drill, but the picture on the left is what it looks like. You'll see these, they come in different sizes, different shapes and colors, but they all basically do the same job. I will tell you that these drills tear up the ground. Don't believe when somebody tells you it's just gonna leave a little hole here and it pops out on the other side over there. That's not really the truth, okay? It does that. It's gonna make a little hole here and it's gonna pop out of the ground down there, you know? But when those tracks get on your dirt, on your grass, they're gonna tear it up. And once they tear it up, before this project is finished, all that's gonna be fixed. It's not pretty during construction. And these drills probably cause some of the worst damage on sod and landscaping that there is.
So it's the tracks of the drill.
Because the tracks of the drill, plus when that drill head goes in the ground, it's not like what you see here where that guy just sits in the chair with the joysticks and sticks it in the ground, then it pops up on the other side. He has to dig a pit. And because that pit is where all the effluents, when these drills operate, they have to use water and what we call mud, okay? It's a drilling compound. That's what keeps the hole open. So they drill out, they'll pull back with a bigger head, then they'll drill out again and then pull the pipe back. As they're doing that, they've got to keep the hole open. So the drilling mud that goes in that hole is what keeps that hole open for them, all right? But that mud's got to go somewhere. And that mud will come back into the pit that they drill right there, and then they have a giant vacuum unit that sucks all that out of the ground before they leave and fill their hole back. So I'm telling you this, I don't expect any of you to remember it, but I'm telling you this because it's gonna be a mess. All right, we'll keep it to a minimum. And we'll repair everything during the restoration process. This is the back end of the trencher. I didn't want to show you the whole machine. I wanted to show you what it's gonna do. You've all seen this kind of work, okay? It leaves a nice little scar in the ground. A lot of the work out here will be done like this. So there's three types of construction we're doing. We're doing directional drilling, we're doing trenching, and we're gonna do hand digging. Okay, the hand digging is pretty much the same type of a hole as a trencher. It's just done by hand. Once we get full force out here and going, we're gonna have over 80 dirt diggers on the property. Maybe even as many as 120 in any day that are gonna be digging a trench just like this by hand and refilling, raking all that dirt up, cleaning up, putting the pipe in the ground. But this is what you're gonna see. Next slide, please. So this is what the process looks like immediately after the construction. This is where some trenching, actually this was hand digging, where it was done, and then the pipe sticking out of the ground that we actually put the fiber and the coax in. And this is what happens when you come in. Some of this was trenched, some of it was drilled. So you see, it's not pretty. And I'm just telling you this, I'm not trying to scare you. I just don't want to surprise you the same way I don't like surprises. That when you see this on your property, you know I've explained it all, that it's gonna happen out here.
And
Next slide.
you don't recommend people be out there walking around, a lot of trip hazards.
Yeah, you know, we're gonna have lots of people out there, we're gonna be talking to your residents, but if you can extend that warning to them, it would be very helpful for us.
Some of these graphics would be very useful in helping us do that. We have the capability, we can put video out, we can put it up on 63 and 95, put it on the blog
How about the paper?
and the paper. So it would be nice to have these graphics if you would care to part with a copy.
I'll grab it.
He can save it on his computer right there.
How about posters along the walls in the clubhouse, first floor? There's hundreds of people that go through there.
I have some hard
every day.
copies here for y'all
Let them
too.
look at it,
Not enough for everybody.
if you can make posters.
Say again? Oh, yeah.
Next slide, please.
Hold that thought, because when we get to the marketing portion, that's the type of thing that we wanna do. Good idea.
Okay, these are some pictures of the type of equipment that we're gonna be putting on the property. Now, it just so happens that this property I took these pictures off of is Sunrise Lakes 3 that we just finished. down in Fort Lauderdale. And sees, these are actual pedestals that we put on the property, and I explained to you guys last time about the node pedestals, they're pretty large, they're gonna go down under the windows. The middle picture is our node pedestal. Inside this pedestal is the node, it's a big aluminum can, I call it a can, it's a housing that opens up, once it opens up, it's this big, but it's got all the transmitters and receivers and all the electronics for the node inside of it. Also in here is all the fiber coming in to feed the node, and it's all coiled up in there, and it's got all kinds of splice enclosures and different equipment. So this can is full of equipment. That's why it's so big. But it fits down under the windows. It's not the most ideal thing in the world, but it's what's in the market right now. And with our equipment and all that stuff that's in there, this is what's required in our network. Once you come out of the node and you start feeding out into coax, we have the smaller pedestals like on your left right here. And this and smaller is what we're gonna use on the property. On the buildings that have lock boxes, we're gonna have the same size lock box that Comcast uses today. It'll either be beside it, above it, or below it, wherever we can get it. And most of them, I think, are gonna be just above the Comcast lock box from what all the walkouts I've done. That's where the majority of them are. But they're not all gonna be in the same spot because when Comcast was building, they didn't put all theirs in the same place. So we just have to find room for them.
Did you say that there are 69 of the center ones?
Yes, sir.
How about the other two? About?
The ones on the left right there, you're probably gonna have 400 or 500 of those on the property. And we're gonna have 12, these are the power supplies, there's 12 of these.
And those power supplies have integral batteries?
They have either 3 or 6 integral batteries that go in them. They're 90-volt power supplies. We actually put 3 in them initially, and then we see if that's gonna be good enough for it. 3 batteries will run that power supply about 2 hours. Yes, ma'am.
You're showing windows, but many of us have patio doors and other things that are gonna be much lower than these windows.
I'm not putting any of these in front of a patio door.
Or windows or anything, remember, it has to be higher. Wherever you put them has to be something higher, it's not going to
Yeah,
be
yeah.
blocking anything.
No, ma'am.
Okay, so then it would maybe not be possible to put it behind, it would have to be on the side of the building or somewhere else.
I have
You're
looked
saying?
at, I've looked at every location where we're gonna place a node. We placed 2 on the side of a building because of that reason.
Uh-huh,
And the rest are either gonna be close to where the Comcast pedestal is now, or a transformer, which is in the middle of the building. We're gonna place it back there, or they're gonna be under a window, like this, under,
yeah, but
but not blocking.
I mean, I have a small building and the transformer is the FPL transformer is there, the old Adelphia box.
I think it's a
originally
great
everything
point.
is there.
Why don't we,
And, you know,
yeah, absolutely.
It gets a
So
little
what,
bit much.
which building are you in?
I'm in Shanamar.
Okay, Marcel, could you write that down to ensure, and if anybody else has the same concern, let's,
Gentlemen,
We all do.
no, we're 16 units on the lake. He's not just-
so but they've already done a walkout on already, they're
That's what I'm
telling
saying,
us.
it's already.
Right, they've already
The
checked
windows
it.
are not on the ground, for heaven's sake,
Right.
your windows
Oh,
are
your
up.
windows are up high, just like these
Right.
windows right here.
And your windows about 8
But if she
feet
has
off
a
the
concern,
ground.
let's check out her concern.
Yeah, excuse me, Marcia and I are on the lake.
Okay.
What she's talking about is that it doesn't obstruct anybody's view of the lake. That's why they're on the lake. And we have a very short span from the water to our building. I know where our Comcast one is. I went the last time and checked it. And, you know, it's in the middle of the building where it doesn't obscure anybody's view. I'm just wondering where they would put the next one, since that's still gonna
Probably right
be
next
there,
to
you
it.
know what I'm saying? It'll be next to it?
Well, I'm not really following
No.
Comcast here, because
Okay.
I don't like what Comcast has done in a lot of property. In some places I am. But in a lot of the areas, when Johnny and I walked this out, we're placing these nodes under windows, just like this. Where you have the 3 buildings, where you got a building in the front and 2 on each side.
Right.
The node is gonna go on the back buildings on the side, under some windows right here, in almost every case.
We don't have that, we have a
No.
small building,
It's very
there's no
small.
3 buildings, it's 1 building.
And then there was one that wasn't a big building, it wasn't on the water, I can't remember the address. But it's a long straight building, That's what they have. The node was right in the middle, I mean, the transformer's right in the middle on the back. But I couldn't see any place to place our equipment, so we moved it around to the side of the building. Cause I couldn't see any place, plus there was a patio between this building and this building over here,
Oh.
a common area, and I didn't feel like y'all would be very happy with me placing one of these cans right in the middle of your patio area. Okay, so we moved that, okay?
Good thinking.
So, you know, we've looked at every single one of them. We might have made some mistakes, but before we start all this now, Donald and I are gonna become best friends.
Yeah.
And we're gonna get in his little high-powered golf cart and we're gonna take off through here, okay? And we're gonna mark every one of these and make sure that there's no issues, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, I try and stay on top of it, but I do make mistakes. Yes, sir.
It seems to me that if you could communicate more with residents who might have a perceived problem with lines of sight, talk to them beforehand. I really feel like these explanations should be given to the delegates meeting, to as many people as possible.
There will
The more
be.
you explain, you're gonna get bitching no matter what you do, you know that.
I know that.
The more you explain, the more you CYA. That's all I
Well,
have to say.
you'll see that I'm very involved here, okay? And I know there's gonna be some bitching and complaining. And
I'm
I
glad
try
I
and keep
came
it
to
to a
this
minimum,
meeting
because I'm the guy, I'm giving you my phone number today. And I'm giving every one of you my phone number because I'm brave enough to have you come to me, because I'm gonna take care of the problem if there's something going on you don't like. Because when I leave this property, I still have to worry about it, because I'm maintaining it. I'm the senior technical manager of Palm Beach County and Broward County. I'm still gonna be up here, and I don't wanna come up here and every time I come in the gate, somebody pulls up beside me and goes, "Oh, you're back. You again."
Welcome to Century Village.
Well, that's what I wanna hear. Welcome to Century
Put
Village.
that
I
phone
want people
number
smiling.
everywhere, every method of the newspaper, the blog spot, everywhere you can, if you wanna get the call.
I don't wanna get the call, I'm telling you. You know, I've got, my phone rings enough as it is.
Yeah, there's another section here we're going through, because this is the first thing that's in front of us, is the construction plan, and this is phenomenal, by the way, thank you. I haven't seen this in too many places, only Charlie could do that. However, but keep in mind, you may not have been in the last meeting, but Lisa, your marketing person, will take the information that he's created, now that he's created it, and we'll sit here and go through, this is what they plan to do, and you guys are gonna say, well, do the newspaper, do this, you have a video, do a video, all that. So there's another process that you'll hopefully next month or the month after, where that's gonna be laid out in front of you, and then you're gonna critique it and say, it's not good enough, or whatever, let's change it, so.
Well, folks, there are technical constraints that apply here. The electric company, the phone company, you know, they don't go out and get permission from every citizen of the realm. There are certain things that are gonna have to happen here if you want proper connectivity.
Yeah.
Alright?
But communication is good.
Don't make
Vital.
too much of this. Nobody's gonna stick this in a highly inconvenient location. We'll do our best to coordinate, but if you want cable in your unit, don't get too fussy. Alright?
I think you're gonna be pretty happy with the placement right now. I'll be surprised if I have a single one that you don't like, because the last thing I wanna do is look out my front window and see a can sticking in my front yard. You know, I'm right there with you and I agree with you 100%.
You can't make it any worse than Comcast has already done with these little cans tilted over and busted up and spewing wires out into the ground. And at some point, we're gonna have to deal with the issue of getting rid of those old boxes.
We are at Sunrise Lakes, so he's done his job and all that, so now we, use the attorney to send a letter to Comcast that you need to come fix it, and by the way, they have. Hopefully they do the same thing here.
Paint them and make them look like a bush.
You do that with towels.
Yeah, this is all
Trees.
subject to landscaping.
Yes, it
Right?
is. Landscaping's everything at the end of a project. Yes, sir.
My name is Roy Roberts, your name is Charlie Roberts.
Yes, sir.
Charlie Roberts is my youngest brother. He's he's not alive today. That power supply, what are the voltages that you see in that power supply number
Well,
one?
it's 110
How many
volts.
of them will be in Century Village number two? And are they weatherproof number three?
Okay, the answer to weatherproofing is yes. The number on Century Village is 12, and they operate off of 110 volt AC current.
110.
110. The way this power supply works is it takes the 110 volts, converts it to 90, and
Okay.
sends 90 out onto the coax to fire up our equipment.
Okay.
So our equipment operates off of 90 volts AC, which then converts to 27 volts DC.
Okay.
Okay?
The reason why I asked that, I worked and installing an aluminum plant in the Virgin Islands, and they had no protection for the junction boxes that service the units. Mainly because they said it doesn't rain in St. Croix.
Never ever, huh?
That first year it rained so much they had to cut a ditch so that it took out the power supply altogether, the powerhouse. So that's why I'm concerned.
Well, this housing, this whole lid right here has got a rubber gasket on the inside of it.
Mhm.
And this whole door opens up. It's got two locks on it, as you can see. It opens
Okay.
up, and inside there, you have an inverter, which is our module, and then you have the battery trays underneath it, okay?
Uh-huh.
Even the equipment inside is weatherproof,
Right.
okay? But the housing itself is also weatherproof. It's also breathes. It's got vents up under this lid right here. This lid just got two little wing nuts under it, and it lifts right off. But it's there to breathe and to dissipate the heat that grows inside there. So to answer your question, yes, sir, it is
The
waterproof.
bottom line would be saltwater licensed electrician.
Okay.
These are gonna be permitted and
There you go.
inspected by the county,
Yes.
for sure.
Right. Just to put a head on this, I've been inside the Comcast power supply cabinets. They're over 10 years old. It dries a bone inside, not a bit of rust. And I don't expect any different now.
Okay, next slide, please. Okay, restoration, my favorite part. It's my favorite part because this is at the end of a project and it's when we clean it up and make everything look good. I promise you that before we leave this property, everything will be brought back to as good or better condition, restoration wise. Any tire tracks, any disturbed ground, we will fill in any holes, we will put down sod, seed, and straw if required, whatever we need to do to make your property look pristine as it is today at the end of the project, okay? We're not gonna leave any holes open without, during our daylight hours, we'll have somebody standing over that hole just to stop somebody from just out meandering around that wants to fall in a hole for the day. And it happens everywhere I go, all right? At nighttime, if we have to leave a hole open, which I don't like, normally we'll soft fill the holes, but if we have to leave one open for some reason, we will fence it off with emergency fencing. It's orange fencing that will go around it. If somebody falls in it, it's because they really have to try hard to get in it. The trench lines, we'll backfill them and tamp them. You know, I'm sure you've all seen people that dig a trench and they just throw the dirt in there. After the first rain, that thing's another hole again, okay? I don't believe in that. That's a pet peeve that I have. They actually have a machine called a tamp, and it vibrates like crazy. Usually takes 2 men, but they will go in there and tamp those trench lines and backfill them when they get the pipe put in there so you don't have any sinkage. There will be some sinkage. There's air bowls that get caught. There's rocks that we put back in there and they get little cavities around them that are not filled. And then when the rain comes in or the sprinklers come on, the dirt does sink. Edwin and Johnny and I will be out here and we will find those. And we'll put the contractor back on to fill them up. We usually ride out the entire project every day, okay, to see what's going on. And we give the contractors a little gig sheet, say you need to go back and clean this up or clean this up. If there's something we miss, you're gonna have my phone number. All you have to do is call me.
Charlie,
Yes,
this
ma'am.
might be a premature question, but is your restoration effort following your turn-up effort as far as your scheduling? In other words, the first person that's installed is gonna have a mess. We all know that.
Mhm.
they don't have to wait until the last person's installed
No, ma'am, this project is so
to be
big.
that's what I'm just,
No, I'm not gonna wait till I'm finished to make the restoration start.
you know, the plan, your project plan includes restoration at the end of each interval of turn up.
Well, it may not be right at the end of it, but it'll be shortly after that,
Because it would be
we
good to
may get two
communicate.
areas done before we start the restoration. Okay, cause I'm gonna break this up,
No, it has to
No.
follow a pattern, certainly.
yeah,
But it would be good to communicate when we're telling our residents our scheduling. Like, you know, these buildings are gonna be your first buildings, whatever those are.
normally what I
And
do is
then-
make the restoration within 30 days of turn up
Okay.
in an area.
Whatever your policy is, that, it's just to have
That's
it
the Charlie
established up
Roberts
front.
policy.
Cause the first person that gets their property all messed is gonna wanna tell everybody under the sun, oh, they're never gonna fix it, you know? You wanna make sure everyone knows when the restoration's gonna happen.
Well, I want them saying just the opposite of that.
That's
I can't believe they
Yeah.
fixed.
Yeah, and how
Okay.
quick and clean and nice.
Yes, Okay, oops, that's okay. So this scenario right here, believe it or not, but I showed you a picture earlier where the ground was all torn up, right next to where we did some trenching or hand digging. That was
That one.
this one, go back. This was this area from a different angle. This is what it looks like today. And this is what your property's gonna look like when we finish it and get it cleaned up. You can't even see where we laid all the sod, it's actually right up here, you can kinda see a line right here. But this was all the sod, we came in and raked it all smooth and cleaned it all up, put the sod down. The only thing that we ask, you know, we don't have water trucks that go around and water and everything, is that the sprinklers get turned on once the sod goes down. It gets regularly watered, because if it doesn't, you know how this area is.
And it should happen daily for 30 days.
Yeah, it's gonna die, you know, but these folks right here, they turn the water on, you can see this lake's getting a little low right here, they've watered it so much. But it does take a lot of care, you know, to keep it growing. Next slide, please. Okay, so after we finish all the hard part, putting all the pipe in the ground, all the fibers pulled, everything's spliced up, the pedestals are straight, and we've done all of our QC on the construction, now we have to come in what we call proof and acceptance. I bring additional crews in and we start activating all the nodes. We check every single device that's out here and make sure that it's performing properly before we ever do our first connection. And there's all kinds of tests that we run to make sure this is done. So people know that we've come out here and we've finished splicing, we've got everything on, and they're like, why aren't I getting installed yet? Well, the network's not ready yet. That's why, because we're still doing the proof. And if it's got one burp in it that's not right, then I reject it. And we don't move forward until we find that problem and fix it. It could be a fiber splice, it could be a coaxial splice, it could be anything like a loose screw somewhere. I'll find it. When that network is perfect, then we start doing the installs, so that when you get installed, you're getting the product that you're paying for. I don't want a bunch of service calls first day we're doing installs because it's not working right.
Are these in-house people that do this, or they're contractors?
Some are in-house and some are contractors, we use both. The final proof is me and Edwin and John. If we have contractors come in, that's fine, and we believe in them, that's why they work for me, and they do a good job, but I come behind them and check them. What was that Ronald Reagan said, something but verify, trust.
Verify.
Absolutely. I'm not saying our contractors are terrorists by any means, you know, but, you know, I don't believe anything I hear and only half of what I see. So we verify everything. Including the conduit depth. I mean, the whole time during the project process, construction process, I'm out there with a measuring stick, making sure it's a minimum of 24 inches. And if it's not, they're gonna dig it up and put it back in the ground again. It doesn't happen very often anymore, but it did for a while during my career. But these guys know me, and they know how costly it is to have to go in and dig up 1,000 feet of pipe because it's only 20 inches deep, and I'm not gonna accept it. So we look at conduit depth, we look at the bore depth under roads, the pedestal installations, make sure that those pedestals are clean and straight, they're buried deep enough like they should be, and they're in the right location. We verify all the fiber splicing, all the coaxial splicing, the testing of the nodes, the testing of the fiber. It's a big process, and it takes a lot of people to do it. This isn't one guy out here trying to catch up all the time. It's 24 people out here working in different areas or together working on the same thing. And then we make sure, again, like I told you, that all the equipment is working properly as it should. Next slide, please. So there you go. Y'all like to write these down? That's how to get a hold of me and Edwin. We can run, but we can't hide.
We got your number.
Great job, thank you.
Yes,
I've been in the industry for a
Do
few
we have-
years and I learned a couple things today.
Do we have an email address for you?
You know what? That's what I left off of this.
Do you have a card?
I do. I have
Okay.
some in my pocket. I have some more out in my truck. I'm
Okay.
trying to get my phone number.
Okay.
I would suggest, Joe, unless you feel otherwise, that we don't put his number in the newspaper.
Charlie,
If I have it, that's enough. Thank you.
Good.
is this one of the bigger projects that you've worked on?
No, sir, it's one of the smaller, actually.
Alright, Jack,
I built the entire country in the Philippines, which was 1,700 miles
Thank you.
thanks.
of
Charlie
HSC.
had something?
Charlie, if I remember right, it was 17 miles of fiber and 10 miles of conduit.
Of coax.
Coax, excuse me. Is that all underground and is it all conduit?
It's 100% underground and 100% in conduit. Yes, sir.
I
Coax,
think I heard one of these gentlemen talk about orange, there's different levels of conduit.
Our conduit is gray.
That's it.
What he was talking about, orange, is what the markings,
Paint.
the paint.
right,
And unfortunately, some Comcast orange cable that may be out there is meant to be temporary. It's not meant to be permanent.
I have some more of these outside. I'll
Thank
bring
you,
you in. Yes, sir.
That gentleman over there just raised the issue about 17 miles of fiber optics and 10 miles of coaxial. How come the difference?
It's a fiber-rich project. I can tell you, a lot of places where the fiber goes, we're gonna have coax running parallel to it. I haven't even counted that in. There's actually a lot more coax than just that. This is additional coax for the 27 miles. If you go back to the design slide, I can show what I mean by that. Right, one more. No, the other one. Okay, this is the actual design that we put in Sunrise Lakes. This is the node location, okay, and this is the fiber feeding into the node. You see it's got an SR1712 on it, it's a 12 count fiber. Each of these is our coax legs that come out, okay? What you see in the 17 miles of fiber is all this fiber.
Charlie, it's 27 miles of fiber.
It's 27 miles of build,
Total, yeah.
17 miles of fiber,
Ah,
and 10 miles of coax.
sorry, thank you.
coax is an RG6?
No, sir, it's a 700.
Okay,
It's a giant
Thank you.
coax. We don't count the RG6 in construction. That's installation, that's a baby.
got you, I got you.
So this is exactly what your design will look like here, once it finally comes out and we have it digitized. You see how the one node, this node is feeding 4 buildings. Terminates here, it terminates here, it terminates in the middle. So you got the node to this building, then it feeds these 2 and these 2 buildings. These 4 buildings complete. Some nodes will feed 5 buildings, some are 4, some are 3, depending on the number of units in the building. No more than 150 homes, units per node. That's why it's so fiber rich here and why we have so many nodes. On this property, I think we're averaging 110 per node. Okay, but we're not gonna feed more than 150 anywhere. That's what the node plus zero design is all about. Did that answer your question, sir? Okay. Any more questions for me? Okay, like I said, I can run, but I can't hide. You have my number. If
Thank
you
you,
have a
Charlie,
question, just
wonderful
call.
presentation.
Thank you.
Those, you done? You done?
No, we need to discuss what's going on
Mr. Anderson,
With the town hall meeting,
the party,
the
You mean the Super Bowl event?
yes.
yes.
Reagan, that's Reagan's,
Yeah, I actually sort of handed that off to Melissa. She's been working, I believe, with Donald. Everything is scheduled based on what the emails I've seen, so we're ready to roll with that.
right, we need flyers, we
Okay.
need things to put in the paper.
Oh, you wanna put in the paper? Okay.
Sure.
I haven't got a thing, I'm doing the February paper right now, I have nothing.
All right, I'll tell
You know,
Melissa to
I don't
send
know
it.
what Donald's role in it is, except at the clubhouse, but I'm talking about the publicity, which we seem to be lacking on constantly. We cannot help our residents and help you unless we're well informed. People in this village want to be informed. We just put out 7,000 papers for this month alone. Okay, this is our biggest audience right now is here. I'm available, I'm there 24 hours a day practically, I've been in touch with Melissa.
All
I
right.
have nothing.
Alright, Joy, you should work with Marcel, let him be the interface
Uh-huh.
and do the heavy lifting on this, but time rolls
That's right.
when you're having fun, and we do need, some flyers and some publicity.
I closed the paper in 10 days.
Exactly,
In 10 days.
Yes.
alright.
I have this.
Barbara.
I went to the Super Bowl last year, and we had half a room, and I know that, I'm presuming you're going to try to open it to the 2 rooms. But I will tell you what Joy said, people have come up to me at different things I go to and say, oh, you're going to Super Bowl, have you heard, what are they doing? Nobody knows anything
No.
out there. I don't know of anybody here who goes to functions up at the clubhouse, but nobody knows. So you better get the word out there, or it's gonna be a mess.
I mean, we're willing to give you as many pages in the
Yeah,
paper as you
we still
need, just
have
like
creative
Charlie is
file.
saying.
Yes.
He's willing to work with you, I'm willing to work with you. I'm putting the paper together, if I need 10 more pages in that paper, I'll get it, if you give me the information. I'm more than happy to do it.
Rita, can you let us know when Melissa can be available for a call between
All right,
hours?
I have her email.
I'll set it up.
Right.
Keep, and they, you know, another source will be Eva Richesky.
Right,
Let's
that's right.
just get in the loop and get this advertising going, or you're gonna have an empty room.
Right, at this,
People make their schedules long in advance, you can't just tell them 2 days before. Go ahead, Donald.
at this point, our clubhouse manager, Eva Richesky, and Melissa from Atlantic Broadband are in direct contact. They're working out the plan themselves. I would imagine from either end, you can get the information you need.
Okay.
Great, well, let's set
I'll
up a
just set
call
up a
with,
call, we can
with
have another
those
marketing
two
side
people,
with Joy and.
you and Melissa, Joyce, us, and anybody else who wants to join a call. So it's great that things are happening, it's just that we just need to call those.
Have to know.
Alright,
Just a suggestion is to have ABC reps at the Super Bowl party to talk and the more you can talk and interface and inform people, I believe, the better.
That's not the way you do it. That's not the way.
What are
Oh,
you?
You're not gonna
She
have,
said
you're
no.
not gonna have football fans who are gonna wanna listen to
Right.
AB at the Super Bowl.
I wouldn't blame them either.
You can do that after the delegate meetings when you have a lot of your representatives there, you can have it out in the lobby with people walking out, they can.
One of my
okay, look, we have a way of getting information out. But no information comes out unless some information comes in. We can't make it up, right?
Nope, not
We'll set up a call and Eva and Melissa can tell the group
I know.
what
Well, we
they've
could
done.
make it up, but
I said it's not fake news, David.
Yeah.
It's not.
go ahead, Leo.
No, what I'm saying is, we have a follow-up that Eva and Melissa sounds like they have a plan, they need to share with us.
Yes.
Right.
Especially
There
that,
you go.
I'm sure that they have a lot of things put together and we'll do that as early as possible this week or early next.
They have to.
Part of my plan was kind of kiboshed. I mean, look at the facts on the table. We signed a contract on June 5th. July, August, September, October, November, December, January. I had hoped to write an article on this process every single month based on these reports we're supposed to be getting. We need to start seeing these reports and these lovely charts.
Well, I would start with this and write, he did a great job of outlining what's gonna happen here.
All right,
So this is the beginning, nothing then starts until, as we said before, a design is made, so they know what we're doing, what they're doing
We
here,
need
so
a
now
copy of
we're
that.
ready.
Alright.
We always knew there was gonna be a ramp up period, and we're there, so we now need to, you can do an interview of, one of
Charlie,
them.
can I get one of those?
And then when we start the marketing
This is the
plan,
last one I had on the hard copy.
We'll
Marcel's got copies of it electronically though.
Ken,
Part of the marketing plan, we should have a desk in the lobby outside of the delegate assembly with somebody from Atlantic Broadband there.
Right.
And maybe a television screen with a video of this presentation.
Absolutely.
You know, people come in and they wanna know what's going on with Atlantic Broadband and nobody can give them any answers. You guys should be there. Politicians are there every month, they're trying to get elected.
I don't know if this camera will capture what was up there.
I'm not talking about this camera. These, the marketing people should put together a video of this presentation and we'll have it running in the lobby at a delegate assembly.
that is
So,
correct.
The
So
next delegate assembly is, the first Friday in February.
February 2nd.
So,
Okay,
that should be
so
done by February 2nd.
you're correct, and who puts this on the agenda?
No, not on the agenda, out in the lobby.
You don't want us on the agenda, maybe we.
Well, at least in the lobby. If you wanna be on the
Okay, we
agenda,
can
you can
do
do that
Be on the
too.
agenda that day.
No,
No?
no, this is to an
Okay.
extent a captive audience, and you can't,
Got
you'll lose these people if you try to put,
Someday
this
we need
was
to
what,
get
a
there.
half-hour presentation or more?
But just, have a presence in the
So-
lobby.
So that's a good point, so Reagan, when you and I speak,
Could be a continuous loop,
Yeah,
just running,
right.
maybe
on
you
a
can
nice
have.
big screen. Barbara,
David, if Reagan had someone out in the lobby, which Ken said is a good idea, but secondary, and we've done this before, not us, but other people. After the delegate assembly, and that's a very important delegate assembly, they go into the party room. You got that big TV screen, you can put on all this information on it, keep it going on a loop, okay? And have your representatives in there, only for AB, that's what it'll be about.
Give them a
So
cup of
anybody wants to
coffee.
go, give them coffee and
Give them
cookies,
coffee
you'll
and a
bring
donut and
everybody in
they'll
there.
come.
It's on the agenda for
And
that to be
Marcel
there.
has a copy of this electronically, and if you guys wanna put it on a TV here, it's your copy.
I want
Do what you
him
want
to
with
send it to us.
But you need representatives
I've already
at
made a
that.
copy of it.
I'll tell him.
alright,
Okay, so they'll be there
I
in the
already made a
fifth.
copy of it.
you got anything else?
No, I just want to reassure you that there is a plan here, it just needed to be revealed in its fashion, so now it's done a great job, better than I've seen from a lot of other companies.
It's marvelous,
It is marvelous.
but we
So now
wanna
the next
see,
step,
we wanna see the pieces of this reflected in the
absolutely,
reporting.
so,
David, I think there's one question that hasn't been answered, more or less is the timeline. When do you expect to start this actually, this digging and the coming in here with your trucks? That's what people are asking. We have no presence here. You may be here, they don't know you. I mean, you're a nice fellow, they say, oh yeah, he's here. So what? When are you actually gonna be here on the ground? Do you have
Okay, well,
any idea?
Yes,
Can
ma'am.
we kind of go off camera for a minute?
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure,
shut it.
sure.
Wait.
Yeah,
We're not off camera.
right.
No, hold on.
Push the sound button.
Slowly, push the red dot. See the big red dot on the screen, middle right. Just click the red dot, square.